Are chores just busy work for kids, or do they actually matter? Today we're going to be talking about a big parenting question. Should children be doing chores? And maybe you think that isn't a question, and you might be on either side of that argument and think, why is that even a question? Because there are people who feel very strongly both ways. Today we're going to talk about that. And then if the answer is yes, we will be talking about how to make that happen, which is probably a spoiler alert to how I feel about it. Let's break it down. But first, introductions. Hello, my name is Valerie. I blog at babywisemom.com, and I have been blogging there since the year 2007. I have 4 children who currently range in age from 12 to 20 years old, and I love helping parents, love parenthood. I like to make your lives easier. I like to make everything more pleasant so everyone in the family is happy and thriving. Why do chores matter? Many parents really wonder if chores are worth the hassle, especially when you think like, it will take me longer to get my child to do that chore than it will take me just to do that chore. Some people even wonder if having your kids do chores is like fair. So just to quickly address that, yes, it is fair for your child to do chores. If your child is contributing to the work that is required, then it is fair for your child to contribute to doing that work. So anyone who's alive is contributing to work needing to be done to take care of them. It is all age specific. Like, we don't expect a toddler to be able to do the same things that a 13-year-old can do. But yes, it is fair for everyone to contribute to the home. And there are a lot of benefits to chores. Beyond it just being like a fair thing, there are great benefits. It helps build responsibility, it helps build teamwork, it helps people feel like they belong to something. It helps build independence. Like, someday your child is going to move out and they're going to need to know how to run a household. And doing chores can even help your child's self-worth. So doing chores will teach your child life skills. It will encourage responsibility. It will build their confidence, and it will help them feel like they're a valuable part of the family. So what about kids being kids? Like, people wonder, like, shouldn't a kid just be able to be a kid? Like, they have plenty of life to work. They shouldn't need to do any kind of chores when they're a child because they should just play. They should just have fun. Childhood absolutely should include play and imagination and wonder and fun. That doesn't mean that they can't also learn to contribute to the family. The things aren't mutually exclusive from each other. In fact, being part of a team is a big part of being a secure kid. And there's absolutely enough time in a day for your child to have plenty of playing time and still have some sort of chore to do. And chores are actually really great. Like, a child doing chores is great for the whole family. When everyone is pitching in, then everything runs more smoothly. And it's not about perfection, it's about progress and participation. But just think, if you do every chore that is needed to be done in the home from now until your youngest child moves out, how much time will you spend on those chores? Versus if those who are helping make the messes also help clean up the messes, how much less time are you spending on chores? And then that gives you more time to spend with them. Like, I think anyone would say, I would gladly do some chores each day if it means I get some time with my mom each day. There's also this great benefit as people or your children are doing chores, they naturally start to just kind of clean up after themselves better. Like, if they're taking turns doing the dishes, they're far more likely to rinse their dishes off after they're done with them, or to clean up after themselves. If they're cleaning the bathroom, they're going to be a little more cognizant of leaving their stuff strewn about. So it just kind of naturally makes you like, oh, that's actually a lot of work. It helps them have more empathy toward other people, instead of just being like, oh, some magic fairy comes along, or like my magic mom comes along. Even, if they do acknowledge like, oh, mom always comes along behind me and cleans up, they realize like, oh, that's a lot of work. They start to care about how their actions affect others. Okay, so we're all on the same page. Chores, yay, yes, we're all for it. So a very common next question is, should I pay my children to do their chores. There's really no one size fits all answer to this, and a lot of experts have different opinions on this. You have those that say, yes, pay your children for doing their chores. It teaches them that kind of economy, like you get paid for your work situation. There are others who say, do not pay your child for doing chores. Like doing chores is just a natural part of life. Like when you make messes in life, then you clean up messes in life. And so chores should not be tied to being paid. And those same experts won't say a child shouldn't be paid any kind of allowance, but they will say, keep your allowance and your chores separate from each other. There's really no one right or wrong way to go about that. You just need to decide what makes the most sense for you. And there's no saying you can't start one way and change later. There's still other people, and this is how we've kind of done it a lot of different ways as our kids have grown up, and where we settled for the bulk of the time of so far of kids growing up is they have their chores that just exist just because they exist. And then we always have these extra chores they can always do that they get paid for. So we have you have your weekly chores that you're required to do every week. And then if you want to earn extra money, then I have this easy list of chores I can turn to. Not necessarily that they're easy chores, but I have this list already made for myself so that I can easily say, oh, you want to earn some money? Well, here are some options of what you can do to do that. So each child will kind of have their own natural disposition on their feelings toward chores. Some children are super anxious and excited to do chores. And that kind of often is an oldest child, especially if as the parent you do chores in front of your oldest child. So my oldest child was literally trying to help me fold laundry at 9 months old. He couldn't even walk yet, but he would sit as I folded laundry. He'd sit with me and try to do it. He also would try to sweep. He'd grab a broom and go along with me and try to sweep. He was very excited. And by the time he was 3, he could vacuum a small room, and I didn't have to go along behind him to fix it. But, just a quick bonus tip right now, if you do ever go along behind your children to fix something they've done, make sure they have no idea. Like they need to either be asleep or out of the house. Don't let them know you're going along behind them, because that can hurt their confidence in it. And it can either hurt their confidence, or it can make them be like, I don't even need to try because I know mom's going to come along and do it for real. So I'll just go as fast as I can. And if it's not a good job, that's fine because mom will fix it later. But I did not feel compelled at all to even try to vacuum. Like I was perfectly satisfied when he vacuumed a room at age 3. And not every one of my children have been so excited about chores. Others have been resistant to chores, or much less excited, or dragging their feet about it. So you'll have different levels of enthusiasm. But a big tip is to start young. Start as a toddler, and there are things your toddler can do. You can even technically start as a baby. Like when your baby is done playing with toys, have them help you clean up. They probably won't really contribute much, especially if, there's this age of baby where they just pull everything out of baskets and bins. And then you have the stages where they put everything in. There are stages where babies are certainly not helpful, but if you're like, oh, let's clean up. And then even if they're literally just sitting there while you clean everything up, and you'd be like, oh, thank you so much for helping. And that's so great. I love it when you're here with mommy while I'm cleaning. Then they kind of over time build this like, oh yeah, this is really great. But it just teaches them when we're done playing, we clean up. So technically a baby who, as soon as they are capable of actually helping to clean up, like they're technically doing a chore. For sure, by the time they're 2, start having like chores that they do. And I have a post for like every year of life that gives you age-appropriate chores to add to that age of child. If you want to know, like, okay, I have a 4-year-old, what can I expect my 4-year-old to be able to do? Like, consult those. But I'll give a few examples for every age right now. So a toddler can pick up toys, can throw away trash, can put laundry in the hamper. Very simple things your toddler can absolutely help with. You can give your toddler like a dust rag to go around and dust surfaces that they can reach. You can just almost always find some way a toddler can participate in any chore that you are doing. Once they move to preschooler, they can start taking on a little more complex jobs. Like a preschooler can help set the table before dinner. A preschooler can help match the socks. And if they have good fine motor skills, they can even start to help fold the socks. And that kind of depends on how you fold socks at your house. For sure they can match, and then you can watch for them to be capable of folding those socks. Like when I did laundry, I always had my preschooler like helped me fold whatever it was I was folding, and like doing socks was always like the preschooler's job. Like you're in charge of socks. A preschooler can also help water plants. So for your elementary school age child, like looking at ages like 6 to 10, some ideas are they can make their own bed, they can unload the dishwasher, and they can move toward loading the dishwasher. They can take out the trash, empty the garbages around your house. So sometimes doing chores is like leveling up where they were. So like I talked about with socks, like you start out with matching socks, and then at some point they turn into folding socks. You know, young kids can help sort laundry, which is, they're great life skills and like almost learning activities. You know, you're sorting, you're matching, you're working on fine motor skills and gross motor skills. And then with your preteens and teens, you want to work on being able to cook meals, and they can absolutely clean bathrooms, and they can do their own laundry. Now, a note on bathrooms, I start bathrooms very young with kids, but I start with like, they have one job in the bathroom. For example, the first job my kids learned in the bathroom was how to wipe the counter. So they would wipe the counter, and like their job every Saturday was they'd wipe every counter in every bathroom that we had. And then just with each, as they got older, like each year I'd add another bathroom task until they got to the point where they could clean the entire bathroom independently. And then instead of like, you were on counters this week, it was, you were on this bathroom this week. All right, so what are some tips for getting kids involved and engaged in chores? As I mentioned early, start young. Start as young as you possibly can. Whatever age your child is, start now. And keep your chores and expectations consistent. So, and that doesn't mean you can't ever change things up, but on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, keep things consistent. And of course, you can, will, and even should change things up as time passes. Don't be like, yeah, we do chores, and then for a couple of weeks be like, I'm too tired to bother with that. I'm not even worrying about chores right now. And then back to like, oh, we're chore people around here, we're doing chores. And then, you know, don't do that. Always do the chores. You can change up like how you assign them, what you assign, but always have them. Another tip is to use charts or checklists or a chore jar, or just have something where they can track what they're in charge of. And it just always helps to change that up every once in a while. There's just something about the change that kind of rejuvenates and gets people excited again. And so you might use like chore cards, which I, by the way, have chore cards for every age that you can print out, and then they just go through like, oh, they just flip through their chores, and like they do one chore, then they flip and do that chore, and then flip when it's done. You can also do chore charts. You can do like a chore wheel. I have a free printout for a chore wheel on my website. There's just so many different ways to do it. You can do where you have like chores written on popsicle sticks that they pull from a jar, and like that's their chore for the day. So it's like random every day. You know, change it up. It helps keep things interesting and exciting. Another tip is to praise effort over perfection. Like your child is probably most likely not going to be as good as you are at doing the chore. And just remember, it takes practice, it takes time. And the more they do it, the better they'll get at it. You are raising children, not professional house cleaners. So just remember, like, your point is to be helping them learn how to do these chores and to gain all of those great benefits we talked about at the beginning of the video. We're not looking for like a pristine house here. If we were, then we'd either do it ourselves or we would hire professional house cleaners to do it for us. Another tip is to model a good attitude about chores. And it's okay to like be honest, you know, like, oh, you know, sweeping is not my favorite chore, but I do love having a clean floor. Help find the positive. Just if you stay positive, they'll be positive. If you're grumpy, they'll be grumpy. Another tip is to work together when possible. It's great if everyone's doing chores at the same time. You You can even make a little friendly competition out of it, either with each other or with themselves. So you can say like, oh, like I'm gonna clean my bathroom and you're gonna clean your bathroom. Let's see who can get done the fastest. Or you can say, how long do you think it will take you to dust your bedroom? And they would say, oh, I think 6 minutes. And then you set a timer and like, hey, let's see if you can do it that fast. Maybe you could beat it. And then they'll move. So just remember that at the end of the day, doing chores is not about having a spotless house or spotless rooms. It's about building character and teaching teamwork and preparing your child to be a capable adult. Remember, we are raising future adults. Whether they're folding towels or taking out the trash, they're learning skills that will help them for life. And at this point in my life, as I have a 20-year-old who moved to Africa for 2 years, I can tell you how happy I was when he was leaving for Africa, that he knew how to clean, that he knew how to cook, that he was capable of doing his own laundry. I was not worried about any of those basic things. Like, he was able to stay healthy and stay clean and to make his own meals and to do his own laundry and even learn to wash laundry by hand. Like, that wasn't a huge deal because he already had so many basic cleaning skills that he knew. So now he is home, and then he and my second child are both heading to college in a month. They're moving out, going to college, and you just feel this like great sense of relief that they know how to take care of themselves when they move out. There's also like this panic of like, have I taught them enough? Do they know enough? And the answer may simultaneously be yes and no, because can you ever have really taught them enough, but also you've taught them so much. So I promise you that when the day comes your child is moving out, you will not think, man, I really wish I had not taught them how to do chores. I really wish I never had them learn how to do dishes or learn how to make their bed or do their own. I just wish they didn't know those things. I think it would be so much easier for them to move out on their own if they didn't know that stuff. That's not what you're going to say. I promise you will be so glad that you put in the time and effort. And I also promise it'll be so much easier to do it slow and steady over their entire years of growing up than their senior year to try to cram that in, because they don't have time their senior year. They're hardly ever home their senior year. And you can't possibly teach all of those things that fast either. So much better to teach it slow and steady over their years growing up so that it's not overwhelming and nobody's panicking about that aspect. So the question is, does your family do chores? Do your children do chores? And what has worked for your family? What kind of tracking, like what kind of chore wheel or chore chart? What kind of chores do your kids do at what ages? Like, what's worked? As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I will answer you. And thanks for watching and have a great day. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe. That will help others see the video also, and it will also inform you when future videos come out. Thanks again.